I just want you to do me a huge favor because this is a serious moment for me, and what makes this moment serious for me is that I'm sitting in a room of people who have the ability to make their dreams become a reality, and we live at a time and live in a country where we can make that dream a reality. And you have to understand that there are times that I speak, for instance, in prisons, and I'm talking to individuals who will spend the rest of their lives in prison, and they don't have options. They don't have a lot of choice. And what I do when I come in is I provide a sense of hope and I provide some inspiration, but I'm not able to help them to bring about the change that they want to see happen. And I'm so excited to be in this room because the words that I say in this moment can fuel the rest of your life. Right? So I'm so excited. Like, for me, this isn't I won't ask you for anything over the next hour other than the things that are going to take you to the next level. But I'm excited because when I leave, I literally we may never see each other again, but I have the ability when you walk out of this room to make you operate in a way you've never operated before. And once you do that, because I know if you're in this room, I know there's something special about you, that once you leave this room and you go from 70 to 120%, there are going to be some things that happen in your life that didn't happen before, not because you didn't have the ability. So this is not an ability room. Like, we're not talking about ability. We're talking about activating this greatness that's in us. Your abilities are your abilities. I'm not going to be able to help you to do anything that you do better. Like, I'm not going to be able to give you a gift that you don't have. But what I will be able to do is help you today operate in a way you've never operated before. Right? I will help you to operate in a way you've never operated before. I'm going to help you to do some things that you've never done in your life before. And as a result, you're going to be able to go to a whole new level. So we have to start here. We have to start here. Just write down those things, one or two or three things that you have to desperately get done before this year ends. It's desperation. I don't have a choice. I don't have an option. You got to get that done. Got it. Like, I just want you. And I'm not talking about stuff that's kind of important. I'm talking about the stuff that has got it. The ball's dropping and you can't keep talking about it. Like, you will not be able to rest if you didn't get this done. I want you to write that down. I want you to write that. That's where we're starting. I want you to write that down. E.T., like, I got to get this done, E. Like, E, this is no option. This is not like a vacation. This is not, just making a couple more dollars for the sake of buying a car, a house. Like, E, this is some life and death stuff. E, like, this is some change the trajectory of my life stuff. E, this is like, it's going to put me in a place like where I'm just going to be able to get to that place that I've been trying to get to. I want you to write that down. And look, guys, I'm being honest. It was like random. It was like just totally random. It was out of nowhere. It was the Christmas holiday. And Carl, our videographer, had his family over, and at that time, we lived around the corner from each other. Now we live on the same block. Random, right? Christmas was over. We just going to the house, just eating dinner. It just was a random night. And somehow we got to talking, and Carl's wife is from Barbados, and she didn't have citizenship. So unfortunately, she was in the States without citizenship, and so she had to stay in school in order to eventually get her citizenship. So she did her master's degree, she was in her PhD, and it was weird. It was just like, yo, E.T., I don't know how it happened, but it was like, yo, E.T., my wife is going to get her degree before you get yours. Right? I'm an American citizen. Like, I'd already been in the program for a few years, and it was, I don't know, but have you ever heard, like, when it's your time? Like, it's that moment. It's like, enough is enough. I can't tell you. People have asked me before, Eric, when you get your PhD? I'm like, I'll get it done. E.T., how far are you in the process? Finish all my coursework. I just got to write the dissertation. But it was something about that night that was different. It was almost the end of the year. And I remember Carl, listen to me very closely, guys. I'm being real with you. I didn't even have a conversation with Carl. Like, we never even talked about it afterwards. I never said anything to him about it, but I felt this guilt. I felt like this embarrassment. Like, and for real, he wasn't like speaking directly to me. He was just saying, You know, hey, E, I think my wife's probably gonna finish her degree before you finish yours. And I'm talking about like it pierced. And I just remember like we were talking afterwards, and I didn't hear anything. Like, bro, have you ever been in a conversation and it just shifts and somebody's talking to you and like you can't hear the words that are coming out of their mouth? I didn't hear anything he said. I just kept it like, E, when are you gonna get this done, E? Like, yo, E, are you ever going to finish this? And it's not about a degree, but are you ever going to finish this? Like, are you going to get it done? And I remember excusing myself, like, all right, Carl, hey, great time. I love you guys. Gotta go. Gotta get up in the morning. And I'm telling you guys, it's not even a 5-minute walk, and it felt like an hour. All I could think about when I was going home was like, enough is enough. Like, I'm through. I'm gonna get this done. Okay, just help me out. You're in the room. You ever had that enough is enough moment? Raise your hand for me. You had that enough is enough moment, right? So I need you to be there. Like the next 30, 40 minutes, I need you in that space. That enough is enough. I'm not dumb. Like I can get a PhD. Has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that I just didn't say, all right, this is the year. Right? And so that thing you wrote down, I need you to do me a huge favor. I don't know if you have a pen or a piece of paper. I don't even know if you can do this on your phone. But I want you to kind of put a year next to that for me. Put a year. I want you to just put a year on that for me. Like, don't make up, like, don't do it for me. Just a real number. Just give me like a real solid number, right? And I remember saying to myself, like, yo, if we come back next year for Christmas and your family's here, I remember saying to myself, we come back this time next year, I'm gonna be Dr. Thomas. We come back to your house next year. As a matter of fact, I will pay for your parents to come. Like, I want to reinvent this whole like scenario again next year. Like, I want everybody here. Let's do the same meal. Let's sing the same songs. Let Twilight Zone this thing out. I want it to be exactly like it was, except for this time. I want you to say Dr. Thomas. Like, this is going on in my mind. I'm not having a conversation with anybody. And I'm saying, like, this is it, guys. This is it. So I put a date on it. I put a date. I said 2015. 2015, we're not going to have this conversation. 2015, this time next year, I'm finished. It's done, right? Good. So now I need you to do me a favor. I need you to put a month next to it. Yeah, I need you to put a month next to it now. You got January all the way to December. I need you to put a month on it for me. Give me a month. I need you to put a month on it for me, right? Right now, as you're writing the month down, what I want you to think about is, okay, so write this down too. I'm sorry. I know you came to listen, not do a lot of writing. I apologize, but I really need this. I really need this. I really need this. I really need this. I need you to write down 3 people you love next to those goals. 3 people you love. Just 3 people. Right? Give me the name. Write the names down. I don't put son, mom, or give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, right? Write their names down. Now, this is what I need you to think about. What I need you to think about is how this goal or these goals will revolutionize their lives. Like, I really want you to think about, okay, you can do this later. When you get home, you can do this later, but I want you to write down for each one of them. Give me 3 ways. Please do this when you get home. If you really love them, like you say you love them, when you get home, I need you to write their names down. And I need you to write down when you get to this place, when you finally make this thing happen, how is it going to empower them? How is it going to change their life? And all I can think about is, wow, if I get this PhD, like I can just like change the zeros. Like, I just remember thinking, like, there were doors that were closed to me in the United States of America, right? Because of the nationality that I come from or the part of town that I come from. And I specifically remember people picking other people over me for speaking engagements that weren't as good as I was. I remember people using the excuse of you're not qualified enough. And I remember the PhD, we're going to solve all of that. Like, no more ET ain't qualified. No more, like, we're going to pick this bird over this bird. Like, no, this PhD is going to open doors for me that were once closed, which means it's going to open doors for my daughter, which means it's going to open doors for my wife, which means it's going to open doors for my mother, which means it's going to open doors for CJ, which means it's going to open doors for Carl. And so every day when I woke up, I remembered the people that this degree would affect. And so the days I did not feel like studying, the days I did not feel like writing, the days I wanted to sleep on the plane, I thought about CJ and his family. I thought about Carl and his family. And I said, E.T., keep going. Listen to me very closely. The reason why you stop and start, and you stop and you start, and you stop and you start, is because the goal is not meaningful enough. There's something about the goal that if you quit, it's not going to hurt nobody. If you quit, it's not going to change nothing. If you quit, it's not that deep. Look, this is what I need you to do. So immediately when I left that house and I made up in my mind that I was going to get the PhD, I remember immediately doing a TGIM saying, all right, it's over. It's over. A year from now, I will be Dr. Thomas. And I just didn't speak it into the atmosphere. I spoke it to people who will hold me accountable. Write it down. Write it down. Who's going to hold you accountable? Who's going to hold you accountable? Who's that person? Who's that person? And some of you have been a part of the real estate program. Some of you just come to hear me. When you leave, I need you to call that person, that guy, that young lady, that mother or that father. Like, I need you to call that person and say, yo, I got to do these 3 things before this month and before, and this is who I'm doing it for, and this is why So just somebody real quick over here, because we gotta make this real. Somebody over here real quick, we gotta make this real. Somebody tell me, who's that person you're calling over here? Who's that person you're calling? Who's that person that on this side, that person who's gonna hold you accountable? Who's that person? You've identified that person. I need you to raise your hand for me. Tell me who that person is. Yes, sir, who's that person? Good. Look, I need you to hear me. Here's the last step and we move it forward. The last step is I need you to identify that person. And I identified that person. After I went on YouTube and said, hey, guys, I'm marching. Matter of fact, I turned it into an event. Listen to me very closely. I rented out a space. I put the deposit down. I tasted the food. Like, we did a tasting. I decided what food we were going to eat. The linen. We had to decide what linen. This is 8 months before I even graduated. Never forget, one of the professors came to me and said, E.T., it's a lot of paperwork to fill out. We got about 2 or 3 months left, but I'm just going to be honest with you. You waited on some things because you weren't in school, and now you're back, but I just don't think you're going to be able to make it happen. And I laughed. I chuckled. She said, no, I'm serious. There's a format, and there's a way, and there's some, and you didn't, and it takes this month for this long, 30 days for this, 6 weeks for that, and you just didn't put your paperwork in time. And I said, ma'am, I'm sorry, but you don't get it. I called my grandma and told my grandma I was graduating. Like, no, I'm being serious. Like, I called my grandma, and my grandma said, baby, you know I'm on a fixed income. So if I buy this ticket, grandma can't get her money back. I said, ma'am, I told my grandma that I was graduating, and my grandma already called her hairstylist and told her how she wanted her hair to look. Grandma went out and bought a dress. My grandma bought a dress for the graduation. And you got to hear what I'm saying, because you're listening to me, but you're not listening to me. Listen to what I'm trying to tell y'all. I'm being real with y'all. My biological father wasn't in my life. Hear what I'm saying? My mother hid from me who my biological father was, yet my grandmother's always been in my life. That don't go together. My grandmother said to my mother, if you want to hide the identity of his father, that's cool, but you can't take my grandson from me. And so ever since I've been a kid, my grandma been to everything. She's never missed anything. And when my grandma called, she said, you better make sure you graduate, baby, because I'm coming. And so what I'm trying to tell you is,
wow, E.T. really be... Bro, E.T.'s next level, man. Shout out to E.T., fam. What's good? Yeah, I got really into the video. I was like, man, I want to hear how this video is going to end, but it was dope. But what's up, familia? Grand rising. Happy rising. Big happy smiles. Yes. I feel so good. I feel so blessed to be on this call. The name of the video is Eric Thomas, Get It Done. Eric Thomas, Get It Done. And E.T., I love, you know the reason why I love E.T., because E.T. says the things that most people don't want to hear. You know, like, if you really sit down and think about it, like, think about what he was just saying on that. Like, yo, if you quit, you know, your goals are just not meaningful enough. They're just not. They're not meaningful enough, and it doesn't hurt you enough to keep going. And that's true. It's true. When I sit down and think about it, the reason why I've never quit is because of the goals that I have of how meaningful it means to me for me to put my family in position, for me to put my mom and dad in position, for me to put my little brother in position and be a role model for him, and me being an inspiration, to my neighborhood. That means the world to me, guys. So I'm glad that we're on this call. I'm glad that we get to learn from all of these incredible individuals each and every single day. That's what life is all about at the end of the day. And I'm just so thankful that, I have a family like you guys. We're running these calls daily, Monday through Friday. And it's just so powerful. The fact that we do this, guys, you have no idea how powerful the mornings when Nano Family was. Yesterday, we had a lot of the mornings when Nano Family who showed up to the event, and it was great. We had about 40, 50 people at the event here in Arizona, which was amazing. I'm wrapping up the last final details for the LA event, which I'm also very excited about and I'm looking forward to. But let me set this up right here for IG and let's get this started. But let's get right into it, guys. I know you guys are excited for today's chapters. Let's drop down in the chat box. What is one thing that we are grateful for this morning? What is one thing that you guys are grateful for this morning? Type it in the chat box. All right, let me just set this up right here. I am grateful for God. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for, one sec. Grateful for my health, my family, my mom, my dad, my little brother, my goddaughter, Dariana. I'm extremely grateful for the leaders within my organization. I'm grateful for Katie. I'm grateful for the whole YouTube familia, the whole Instagram familia. I'm extremely and forever thankful for everything that, we're doing on a day-to-day basis, the growth that we're all having. Just a lot of amazing things that are happening in our life. And, I'm extremely grateful for those things. I'm grateful for the wisdom that we have access to. I'm grateful for Mornings with Nano, the whole family, the leaders within the organization, my health, the systems in my body. I'm just so thankful for Hazel. I miss my little Hazel. I'm grateful for my brother Darwin, my mentors, Matt Rosa, Matt Gribby, Jason Brown, Alex Morton, Darwin Lopez. Just super thankful. So I'm excited for today's call. Let me see. Where is my highlighter? Who took my highlighter? Let me grab one, fam. Give me 1 sec. Somebody took Nano's highlighter. No worries. I got one. All right, let's get this call started, fam. So, as you guys know, we are wrapping up the last 4 chapters of this book. And it's amazing what we're going over right now. And today we're on chapter 24. Chapter 24 and chapter 25 in the Power of Awareness book. If you are jumping on this call for the very first time, I want you guys to know that for the whole month of April, we've dedicated to this whole entire book. And we've already read 24. Today we'll finish 25 out of the 27 chapters. So Monday we'll finish. So come Monday, we will finish the book. Monday is May 2nd. So it literally took us basically a whole month to finish it. And it's super dope, fam. So, today we're going to be going over failure. Okay, we're going to be going over failure. And this is such an important chapter in the whole book, because if you really sit down and think about it, the whole book, he's only talked about, succeeding in the law of assumption and how it works, and the beautiful miracles of the law of assumption and everything that has to do with it. So the whole time, the whole book, he's hasn't really talked much about failure. And in these next two chapters is the reason why he left it for the end, right? Is the reason why he put it in the back end. I remember reading this book, and especially this chapter right here, because I'm so big on failure, because I've understood that in order for me to make it to, where I want to go to, I got to fail. And I'll tell you guys this before we get into the book. One of the reasons, guys, the reason why I have the success that I have today is not because I'm smarter than anybody. It's not because I know more than everybody. It's not because I read more than everybody. It's not because I meditate, or because, God just chose me. I want you guys to understand something. The reason why, one of the reasons why, one of the main reasons why I've been able to make it to where I made it is because of my ability to deal with failure. That was the reason. I was able to look at failure in the face and never allow it to bring me down. Never allow it to to allow failure to be better than me. Never. Never, ever, ever allowed it. And that's what I want you guys to understand. All right, this is great, great stuff. So we're gonna go over chapter 24. We're gonna go over failure. Read with me here. This one is gonna be powerful. There's a lot of valuable information in this specific chapter, and I want to make sure that, right. So I'm super, super grateful for this. I'm grateful for God, and all the challenges and all the ups and downs that He's put me through, and giving me the strength, honestly, to push through all the failures. Because I'm honestly, being honest here, guys, one of the hardest things in this business is the failures and pushing through them. So let's read up on top of page 101, chapter 24. All right, it starts with this. He said, "This book would not be complete without some discussion of failure in the attempted use of the law of assumption. It is entirely possible that you either have had or will have a number of failures in this respect." So highlight that real quick for me so you guys know, because we're going to really cover this chapter right here. He said, it is entirely possible that you either have had or will have a number of failures in this respect, many of them in really important matters. So he's already letting you know ahead of time, okay? He's not beating around the bush. He's not telling you that you're going to attract everything right away. He's telling you that you will have a number of failures in this respect, many of them in really important matters. If having reading this book, having a thorough knowledge of the application and working of the law of assumption, you faithfully apply it in an effort to attain some intense desire and fail, what is the reason? If to the question, did you persist enough, you can answer yes, and still the attainment of your desire was not realized, what is the reason for failure? Okay, so I don't know if you guys understood that, but let's repeat it again, right? He said, if having reading this book, having a thorough knowledge of the application and working of the law of assumption, you faithfully apply it in an effort to attain some intense desire and fail, what is the reason, right? So for example, now you're aware of the law of assumption. Okay, you're aware of it, and now you're applying it every day. You say, you know what, Nano, I like the law of assumption. It sounds like a phenomenal idea. I'm going to start applying this information each and every single day so I can acquire my desire to quit my job, to make six figures, to, help retire my mom and dad, right? And you fail. And if you fail while doing it, what was the reason? If to the question, did you persist enough, you can answer yes, and still the attainment of your desire was not realized, what is the reason for failure? So what he's saying is, if he were to ask you, did you persist enough, which means, have you been able to stay consistent with it each and every single day through the failures, through the challenges, and you say yes, and you still haven't got what you want, what's the reason for the failure? Listen to this. The answer to this is the most important factor in the successful use of the law of assumption. The time it takes your assumption to become fact, your desire to be fulfilled, is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want to be, of already having what you desire. The back of this page is what this is one of the biggest life-changing quotes I've ever had in my life. Listen to this right here. Top of page 102. The fact that it does not feel natural to you to be what you imagine yourself to be is the secret to your failure. Make sure you highlight that right there. Those last two sentences at the bottom of page 101 and at the top of page 102. The fact that it does not feel natural to you to be what you imagine yourself to be is the secret of your failure. And when I remember reading that, I was like, God, that's it right there. That was like the nugget that I was looking for. That was the gem that I was searching for right there. But in order for you to understand that, we got to understand the paragraph before that, the sentence before that, which is at the bottom of the first page in italic. The time, that's what he said, right? The time it takes your assumption to become a fact, your desire to be fulfilled, is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want to be, of already having what you want to desire, right? Now, Nano, what does he mean by that? Well, let's talk about it. He said the fact that it does not feel natural to you, it does not feel natural to you. He said the time it takes for your assumption to become a fact, your desire to be fulfilled, is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want to be. So if it's not natural to you when you wake up every day to live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, that you are already what you want to be, the fact that it doesn't feel natural to you yet is the secret to your failure. That's it right there. If you woke up this morning and you didn't wake up as that six-figure version of yourself, if you woke up this morning and you didn't wake up in the feelings of the wish fulfilled, that's the reason why you're going to have failures along the way. That's the reason why. If you allow certain circumstances to affect your peace, that's the reason for your failure. If you allow certain challenges to overcome you, if you allow certain challenges to put you in a position where you don't know if you really want to continue to do this, that's the reason for your failure. So the moment you allow something to affect your peace, the moment you allow an outside circumstance, somebody to affect you, remember, it's already done. Remember what we talk about? It's already done. You already live in the reality that your wish is fulfilled. So it should feel natural to you that even though you're going through things, that you can still keep the feeling, that you can still keep the desire. You can't send the mixed signals, family. You can't. I was saying this to my leaders yesterday in Arizona, and they were asking me about challenges and tests. And I'm like, you know what's the problem with most people? Is that people are not realizing that they're being tested. People think that things are happening to them, not for them. So when these things happen to people, people are frustrated. People are, just in a bad mood about it. I had this guy come up to me and ask me yesterday. He said, Nano, what would you do if you were me? Right. And I'm like, okay, what do you mean? He said, what would you do if you were me? What if you went broke today? Like, what if your bank account hit zero today? What would be the first thing you would do? And you know what I told him? I said, I would celebrate. I would be so thankful and I would celebrate. And his eyes lit up. He was like, what? I'm like, yeah, bro, I would celebrate that I just went broke. I would celebrate. I would be so grateful and so thankful that I'm in this position. He's like, wait, what do you mean? He was literally looking at me in confusion. He's like, well, what do you mean? Like, I said, bro, I'm thankful because now I'm in a position where I realize that I don't want to be here anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at it from a positive perspective. I got to stay in a positive mental attitude through everything because it has to feel natural to me. It has to feel natural to me. If I go broke tomorrow, I got to celebrate that. I got to celebrate that. I got to be grateful for that because God is putting me in that position to teach me a lesson. He's not putting me in that position to break me or to show me something or not show me something. He's definitely want to show me something, but to prove a point or anything. He's putting me in that position to remind me of something, to be like, son, you know what? You missed something. I had to take it from you. I'm sorry. So how do we get it to feel natural? Right? This is one of, I'll tell you guys what, I've used this quote multiple times in my life, to be real. This quote right here, the one at the top of page 102. The fact that it does not feel natural to you to be what you imagine yourself to be is a secret to your failure. The fact that it does not feel natural to you to be what you want to be is the secret of your failure. And guys, this is why it's so important that you guys really, really, really focus on the feeling of the wish fulfilled every single day. This is why I tell people don't slip on the morning routine. Don't slip on the morning routine. You can't, because the reason why it feels so natural to me to be who I want to be is because of my morning routine. It's because I do the visualizations daily. It's because I pick up a book and read daily. It's because I do these things on a day-to-day basis. Definitely one of the biggest nuggets of the whole book, if not the top 3 nuggets of the whole entire book. So it has to feel natural to you. I'll repeat it one more time. The fact that it does not feel natural, the fact that it does not feel natural to you to be what you imagine yourself to be, that is the secret to all of our failures. If it doesn't feel natural, if it doesn't feel regularly, secret to your failure. If you can't, I was saying this to somebody yesterday. I said, you brush your teeth every day, right? They're like, yeah. You eat every day, right? Yeah. You shower every day, right? Yeah. Said you do that every day without thinking about it. You know, you already know that. That's something that you don't even think about. You know, you eat, you know, right? And I'm like, if you want to be successful, you got to get like that with your morning routine, where you don't even think about it. You just wake up and go. You just wake up and read that book. You just wake up and do that meditation. There's no other way than making sure that every single one of you guys, all right, gets consistent with that. I'm telling you, that's the key. This is the key. Now let's continue here. Let's not take it too long because there's more to it, right? He said, regardless of your desire, regardless of how faithfully and intelligent you follow the law, if you do not feel natural about what you want to be, you will not be it. If you do not feel natural, all right? If you do not feel natural about what you want to be, you will not be it. It has to be a natural feeling, right? Now remember, everything is the key. Everything is in the feeling. Remember what I always told you guys. How are you going to feel when you accomplish that goal? We're going to feel amazing, excited, blessed, grateful. thankful, exuberant, all these amazing feelings, right? You have to feel like that every single day. Remember, you're living in the feeling of that you are already that which you want to be. So if you already are that millionaire, if you already are that six-figure earner, if you already are that person that's traveling the world, how are you feeling during that? Then that's the feeling you have to keep through everything. Through everything. Okay, that's the key. He said, if it does not feel natural to you to get a better job, you will not get a better job. The whole principle is vividly expressed by the Bible phrase, you die in your sins. You do not transcend from your present level to the state desired. You remember that, right? The whole principle is vividly expressed in the Bible, by the Bible phrase, you die in your sins. You do not transcend from your present level to the state desired. There's a lot of people that you've seen stay at the same level. Why? Because they don't use their powers. They don't use what they've been given. They don't use what they've been given. I remember we talked about this in prior chapters. I can't remember what chapter it was. I don't know if it was persistence. There was a chapter that talked about the sins. I don't know if you guys remember which one it was. I think it might have been free will. Can't remember. There was one that talked about it, about not being what you want to be is a sin. Goes hand in hand with that specific chapter, with this specific chapter that we're talking about right here. But that's the key. If you don't make it, that's what I was saying to the guy yesterday. I was saying, yo, there's things that in life that God does to test you. Right? He tests you to see if you're ready. And righteousness, right? That's what it was, chapter 20. Right, chapter 20, righteousness. Let me see. Yeah, right here. There we go. It said in chapter 20, right, in page 70 of this book right here, chapter 70. Chapter 20, page 70, right in the middle right there of that first paragraph, he said, sin means to miss the mark, not to attain your desire, not to be the person you want to be is sinning. Righteousness is the consciousness of already being what you want to be. Okay? Only righteousness can save you from sinning. So think about it. If sinning, if we go back to he said, you die in your sins. Now, what is your sins? Your sins means to miss the mark, not to attain your desire, not to be the person you want to be, is to be sinning. So every time you slip up, you die in your sins. That's what he's saying. If you're slipping up in your morning routine, that's the reason why that's why you haven't gotten to the next level yet. Why you guys think I tell you guys all the time, I'm scared to slip up on my morning routine? Because I missed the mark. I sinned. It's a sin to miss your morning routine. Sit down and really think about that. If you think about it in that perspective, you failed. You slipped up this morning. You slipped up. You didn't go to the beach. You didn't go to do your morning routine. You didn't put yourself in the reality of that goal. Remember, your morning routine is relied on that. When you wake up and you go do a morning routine, the purpose of you doing a morning routine is for you to put yourself in a position of who you want to be. You are, for that time being that you are doing your morning routine, you are living from the end in mind. You are living from the fact that you are already what you want to be. And this is what's important. This is what people miss right here. The reason why you see so many people stuck is because people are dying in their sins. They're saying they're going to do something and they're not doing it. They're saying they're going to go and do a morning routine 7 days a week, and they're not doing the morning routine 7 days a week. They say they're going to go to the gym and they're not going to the gym. They say they're going to read and they're not reading. They say they're going to do things and they are not doing them. And that's the problem right there. You do not transcend from your present level to the state desired if it's like that. That's the problem right there. Now let's continue. He said, how can this feeling of naturalness be achieved? The secret lies in one word: imagination. For example, there's a very simple illustration. Assume that you are securely chained to a large, heavy iron bench. You cannot possibly run. In fact, you cannot even walk. In these circumstances, it will not be natural for you to run. You cannot feel that it was natural for you to run. But you could eat, he said, but you could easily imagine yourself running in that instant. You could easily imagine yourself running in that instant. While your consciousness is filled with your imagined running, you have forgotten that you are bound. In imagination, your running was completely natural. The essential feeling of naturalness can be achieved by persistently filling your consciousness with imagination, imagining yourself being what you want to be or having what you desire. Progress can spring only from your imagination, from your desire to transcend to your present level. What you truly and literally must feel is that with your imagination, all things are possible. You must realize that changes are not caused by caprice, but by a change of consciousness. You may fail to achieve or sustain the particular state of consciousness necessary to produce the effect you desire. But once you know that consciousness is the only reality and is the sole creator of your particular world, and you have burnt this truth into your whole being, then you know that success or failure is entirely in your own hands. Whether or not you are disciplined enough to sustain the required state of consciousness in specific instances has no bearing on the truth of the law itself. That an assumption, if persisted in, will harden into a fact. The certainty of the truth of this law must remain despite great disappointment and tragedy. That's key right there. That's what he said right there. He said the certainty of this truth, the certainty of the truth of this law must remain despite great disappointment and tragedy, even when you see the light of the life go out and all the world go on as though it were still day. You must not believe that because your assumption failed to materialize, the truth that assumptions do materialize is a lie. If your assumptions are not fulfilled, it is because of some error or weakness in your consciousness. However, these errors and weaknesses can be overcome. Therefore, press on to the attainment of higher levels by feeling that you already are that person you want to be. And remember that it takes time. Remember that time it takes your assumption to become a reality is proportionate to the naturalness of being it. That whole last paragraph right there is very important to highlight. Let's go. Let's finish up the chapter and then we'll come back to this and then we'll go into chapter 25, right? Man surrounds himself with the true image of himself. Every spirit builds itself a house, and beyond its house, a world, and beyond its world, a heaven. Know then that the world exists for you, for the phenomenon is perfect. What we are and that we can see. All that Adam had, all that Caesar could, you have and can do. Adam called his house heaven and earth. Caesar called his house Rome. You perhaps call yours a cobbler's trade, 100 acres of land, or a scholar's garret. Yet line for line and point for point, your dominion is as great as theirs, though without fine name, Build therefore your own world as fast as you conform your life to the pure idea in your mind that will unfold its great proportion. All right. Now, let's talk about this really quick. Okay. If we go back to page 102 really quick right here, I want to cover this really fast. He talked about the feeling, right? He talked about, he gave an example. Okay. And like I said, this chapter is going to be deep and it's going to be powerful. But if we go back to the story that he gave as an example in the middle of page 102, he said, how can, I know this is a lot, this was a lot of your questions in the chat box, right? How can this feeling of naturalness be achieved? The secret lies in one word: imagination. What do I keep telling you guys? Why is the morning routine so important? Because in the morning routine is where you're going to spend the time and imagination. Right before you go to sleep, you need to imagine it, right? The reason why I would set the alarms to remind me every hour of the day that the feeling was a secret, it was because I wanted to put myself in a position every hour of every single day. I wanted to put myself in the naturalness of the feeling. You understand what I'm saying? I had to put myself in the naturalness of the feeling because I knew that I had to do it consistently over a long period of time. Think about this, guys. Just sit here in imagination real quick. Let's say that for the whole month of May, right? Let's say for the whole month of May, all right, you set an alarm to remind you every hour of every single day that, and what I would say is put these alarms on silent so you don't have alarms going off every single hour loud as hell, right? Let's put them on silent. When you set them up, make sure that where it says sound, put the sound silent. And every hour, put it to remind you that the feeling is a secret, or that, gratitude, or that goal. And when you do that, when that alarm goes off, all right, for that quick minute and a half, for those first 2 minutes of that hour, just put yourself in the reality of that you are that individual. You already know the goal. If you know exactly what you want, right? I don't know. Let me see. Oh no, I had it in my pockets from yesterday. But if you know your goal, what I would do is every hour I would take out my goal and I would read it, and it would remind me of the feelings that I was gonna feel when I accomplished it, and I would stay in that feeling. I would stay in the feeling of accomplishment, gratitude. Yes, thank you. I am making $10,000 a month. I am so thankful. I see the $2,500 every single week. This feels so good. Oh my God. Yes, 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 yes. This is me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so thankful. Yes, yes, yes. And I would just sit there and I'll be like, oh my God, I did it. This is me. This is my reality. This is how I live now. This is what it's about. You did it, Nano. You did it. I am so proud of you. And I would do that 10 to 12 times a day. Every day. I did it. Bro, there were people that, sometimes I'd be in the middle of dinner and the alarm will go off. And I would be like, congratulations, everybody. And everybody would be like, congratulations for what, bro? What do you mean? We just accomplished our goal. Let's go. And everybody would be like, ah. I would put everybody around me in that mood. Like, yo, we already hit our goal. We already did what we wanted to do. It's already done. Let's go. Yes, 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 we did it. You know why? Because I understood the importance of imagination. Now, look, for example, this is a very simple illustration. He said, assume that you are securely chained to a large, heavy iron bench. Assume you could not possibly run. In fact, you cannot even walk. In these circumstances, it will not be natural for you to run. You could not even feel that it was natural for you to run, but you could easily imagine yourself running. In that instant, while your consciousness is filled with your imagined running, you have forgotten that you are bound. In imagination, your running was completely natural. So what he's saying is, bro, we can get chained to a iron bench right now, and we're not gonna be able to move. We're not gonna be able to run. We're not even gonna be able to walk. But if we close our eyes and we imagine ourselves doing it, it'll feel natural to us in our imagination. The essential feeling of naturalness can be achieved by persistently filling your consciousness with imagination, imagining yourself being what you want to be or having what you desire. Persistently filling your consciousness with imagination, persistently filling it. You have to do it every day. I told you guys this yesterday. Every day, every day, every day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every day. If you're not doing it every day, you're slipping up. You're sinning. You're missing the mark. He said progress can only spring from your imagination, from your desire to transcend from your present level. What you truly and literally must feel is that with your imagination, all things are possible. You must realize that changes are not caused by caprice, but by a change of consciousness. If you're not consistently imagining yourself where you want to be, then how are you going to change your consciousness? He says you may fail to achieve or sustain the particular state of consciousness necessary to produce the effect you desire. But once you know that consciousness is the only reality and is the sole creator of your particular world, and you have burnt this truth into your whole being, then you know that success or failure is entirely in your hands. So why did when the guy asked me yesterday, when he asked me, Nano, what would you do if you were to go broke? What would you do? What would be the first thing you do? What did I say? I would be thankful. I would celebrate it. Why is that? He didn't understand that the reason why I said that was because even though in the objective world I failed, I went broke, I don't have money now. In the objective world, I was broke. But I couldn't allow the objective world to determine my reality because my only reality is that I'm rich. My only reality is that I already am who I want to be. You're naming the alarm. The feeling is a secret. The feeling is a secret. So he didn't understand that because maybe he hasn't read the book and maybe he doesn't understand me on a different level. But my only reality is that I'm rich. My only reality is that I'm wealthy. My only reality is that. That's what he's saying. That if that's my only reality, that's the key. Nothing else matters. Whatever happens, happens. It's okay. But in my reality is I'm rich. I'm successful. I'm that chairman. I'm successful. I am wealthy. Whatever it takes. He said, whether or not you are disciplined enough to sustain the required state of consciousness in specific instances has no bearing truth on the law of on the truth of the law itself. That an assumption, if persisted in, will harden into a fact. Right? Listen to this last part, and then we'll go into the next chapter. The certainty of the truth of this law must remain despite great disappointment or tragedy. The certainty of the truth of this law must remain despite of great disappointment and tragedy. You got to keep it. Like I said again, the reason why I told them, yo, if I go broke tomorrow, I'll be grateful, I'll celebrate, is because I understood this part right here. Despite great disappointment and tragedy. That would be a great disappointment. That would be a great disappointment and tragedy if I went broke tomorrow. But I got to keep the naturalness of the feeling in my mind. Like, yes, ooh, I am so grateful. You got to persist in the test, right, Gabriella? You got to persist during the test. You got to keep the feeling. You got to keep the feeling. He said, even when you see the light of life go out and all the world go on as though it were still day, you must not believe that because your assumption failed to materialize, the truth that assumptions do materialize is a lie. So even though you failed, even though you were almost there and now you had to start all over, you still got to keep it. That doesn't mean that the law is a lie. That doesn't mean the law is a lie. If your assumptions are not fulfilled, it is because of some error or weakness in your consciousness. It's because of an error in your consciousness. That's what it is, guys. There's an error or there's a weakness in your consciousness. There's something that you're not truly believing. There's something that you're doubting. Remember, you cannot have no doubt. Write this down. Crumb of doubt will destroy a mountain of faith. One doubt, one crumb of doubt will destroy a mountain of faith. So you can't have no doubt. Sometimes that's what's causing you not to get there. You doubt it a little bit. You don't believe. You fear it a little bit. You don't truly believe that you're going to get there. In the back of your mind, you have, when you're by yourself at night, right? When you're by yourself at night, you truly don't believe that you're going to get there. And that's what's holding you back. You truly believe what your friends told you, that you're not going to make it. You're believing it. And that's the problem with most people, right? He says, therefore, press on to the attainment of ever higher levels by feeling that you are already the person that you want to be. And remember that the time it takes your assumption to become a reality is proportionate to the naturalness of being it. It has to feel natural to us, guys. It has to feel natural to us. My brother Yandi was goody, fam. It has to feel natural to us that we are already that who we want to be. Every day, every day, every day. Through ups, through downs, through struggles, through everything. Because this is what I tell people, guys. And I don't say this because I don't want anybody to feel bad, or I don't want anybody to think that Nano has no sympathy for us and he don't understand what I'm going through. I understand that people go through stuff, okay? The key is that you got to know how to keep the feeling of the wish fulfilled through those challenges, through those obstacles. Because, guys, I know we all go through stuff. And I know some of us go through tougher stuff than most people. I know some of us sometimes need that time off. I know some of us sometimes need to clear our minds. And, we have a lot of things going on financially, with family, with business, with emotions, with our health. And look, trust me, guys, I get it. I don't ever want you guys to think that I'm coming up on these calls and I'm not sympathizing for the things that some of you guys go through. I promise you that's not what it is, because I know that we all go through things. What I am saying is that if you are going through these things, they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop unless you learn how to keep a positive mental attitude through those things. Because like he said, you can be chained to a iron bench, and yes, even though you can't move, yes, even though you can't run, you can close your eyes and you can imagine yourself to be who you want to be. Guys, I was doing this when my bank account was overdrafted. I was doing this when I was thousands of dollars in debt. I was doing this while my mom was complaining to me about the bills. I was Even though this was what was happening in the objective world, even though I was broke, even though I had no money, even though I didn't know what the next step in my life was, I would close my eyes and I would see myself as the person that I wanted to be, and I would live in that reality. And it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be difficult, but you gotta feel the naturalness of it through everything, and that's the key. All right, fam. That is really, really the key of this whole entire thing. All right, so that's chapter 24, failure. All right, put a 24 in the chat box if you guys got value from that chapter. Okay, if you guys got value from that chapter on failure, I could keep going on it. There's just so much that we could continue to break down, but I want to get on to the next chapter. All right, which is chapter 25. Okay, faith. And what I would say is, guys, go back and reread that chapter over and over and over again. Because as you guys can see, the chapter is literally 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. You can sit there and read this chapter so many times. And remember, the biggest mistake I made, Mamba Forever, right? Facts, number 24. And remember, guys, the biggest mistake I made was I stopped reading the book after I was done reading it. Keep reading the book. Remind yourself, you should be reading this book every week. It doesn't mean you have to read the book from back to forth, but have this book next to your laptop at all times. Travel with it. At one point, grab it and just open it up to a chapter and read it. Remind yourself of it. All right, so let's go to chapter 25. Let's run right through it really quick. All right, faith. A miracle is the name given by those who have no faith to the works of faith. That was powerful right there. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So faith in simple terms, think of faith of believing in the unseen, believing in things that have not yet showed up in the physical. All right. The very reason for the law of assumption is contained in this quotation. If there were not a deep-seated awareness that which you hope for had substance and was possible of attainment, it would be impossible to assume that consciousness of being or having it. Let me reread that. The very reason for the law of assumption is contained in this quotation. If there were not a deep-seated awareness that which you hope for had substance and was possible of attainment, it would be impossible to assume the consciousness of being or having it. It is the fact that creation is finished and everything exists that stirs you to hope. And hope, in turn, implies expectation. And without expectation of success, it would be impossible to use consciously the law of assumption. So that's important right there. He said this. You start highlighting from, it is the fact that creation is finished and everything exists that stirs you to hope. And hope, in turn, implies expectation. And without expectation of success, it would be impossible to use the law of assumption, right? What do I tell you guys every day? We are in positive expectation of the future. What do we always expect? What is one thing we always expect? We expect miracles and we get miracles. What is today? Today is what? Christmas. There's a reason why we say the things that we say in the morning. We expect miracles and we get miracles. Today is Christmas. Let me reread this so you can understand it. He said, it is the fact that creation is finished and everything exists that stirs you to hope. And hope, in turn, implies expectation. And without expectation of success, it would be impossible to use consciously the law of assumption. Evidence is a sign of actuality. Thus, This quotation means that faith is the awareness of the reality of that which you assume. Consequently, it is obviously that lack of faith means disbelief in the existence of that which you desire. And as much as that which you experience is the faithful reproduction of your state of consciousness. Lack of faith will mean perpetual failure in any conscious use of the law of assumption. So if you're not believing in the unseen, it's impossible to get what you want. If you have any doubt, any fear, anything about it, you automatically fail in the law of assumption. Automatically. You automatically fail in this assumption. Because you got to believe it. That's what he's saying. If we look back right here, we go back. He says, thus, this quotation means that faith is the awareness of the reality of that which you assume. Consequently, it is obviously that a lack of faith means disbelief in the existence of that which you desire. So if you don't have faith, if you cannot believe in the unseen, okay, that is the reason why you're going to fail. That is the reason why you're not going to get there, because you don't have 100% faith. What did I just say? A crumb of doubt will destroy a mountain of faith. A crumb of doubt will destroy a mountain of faith. You can't have no doubt that this is going to happen for you. He said, and as much as that which you experience is the faithful reproduction of your state of consciousness, lack of faith will mean perpetual failure in any conscious use of this law. In all the ages of history, faith has played a major role. It permeates all the great religions of the world. It is woven all through mythology, and yet today it is almost universally misunderstood. Contrary to popular opinion, the efficacy, I think it is, the efficacy of faith. Let me look that up actually really quick. Let me see. What's the word? Efficacy. I think that's how you say it. Efficacy meaning. Efficacy. The ability to produce a desired or intended result. All right. So, contrary to the popular opinion, the efficacy of faith is not due to the work of any outside agency. It is from first to last an activity of your own consciousness. The Bible is full of many statements about faith, the true meaning of which few are aware. Here are some typical examples. Unto us was the gospel preached, as well as unto them. But the word preach did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. I think that's Hebrews chapter 4, verse 2. He said, in this quotation, the us and them make clear that all of us hear the gospel. Gospel means good news. Very obviously, good news for you would be that you had attained your desire. This is always preached to you by your infinite self. To hear that which you desire, to hear that which you desire does exist, and you need only to accept it in consciousness is good news. Not mixing with faith means to deny the reality of that which you desire. Hence, there is no profit attainment possible. O faithless, perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? Matthew chapter 17, verse 17. The meaning of faithless has been made clear. Perverse means turn the wrong way. Okay? Means turn the wrong way. In other words, the consciousness of not being what you want to be. To be faithless, that is, to disbelieve in the reality of that which you assume is to be perverse. Let's look up perverse really quick, right? Are you guys making fun of me because I can't pronounce certain words? Let me find out. Perverse, but you know I'm not gonna care. So perverse. Where is it? There, here it is. Perverse. Perverse meaning. Perverse meaning means showing a deliberate and obstinate desire to behave in a way that is unreasonable or unacceptable, often in spite of the consequences. Okay. Nah, I'm just kidding, family. I know you guys are not making fun of me. I know you guys are helping me. So let's go back right here. No, never. No, I know, family. I know you guys are just here with me. Let's look up perverse. Here was, how long shall I be with you means of that of the fulfillment predicted. No. Here we are. This is where we are. The meaning of faithless has been made clear. Perverse means turned the wrong way. In other words, the consciousness of not being what you want to be. To be faithless, that is, to disbelieve in the reality of that which you assume is to be perverse. To be faithless is to disbelieve in the reality of that which you assume is to be perverse. To be faithless, that is, to disbelieve in the reality of that which you assume is to be perverse. So when you got to think about it like this: when you stop believing that you can accomplish what it is that you set yourself out to accomplish, then that's when you're being perverse, right? And what did we say perverse was? We said perverse was showing a deliberate and obstinate desire to behave in a way that is unreasonable and unacceptable, often in spite of certain consequences. So when certain consequences come up, okay, and you stop believing that you're going to accomplish that goal. This happens to a lot of people, right? This happens to a lot of people. A lot of people have certain situations, certain circumstances come up in their life where they start to lose faith in what it is that they're going to accomplish. Something comes up, they start to lose faith, they start to lose belief. That is what it means to be perverse. That's what it means to be perverse, is that you're not believing fully, even though, guess what? That's the key. You got to understand that. You got to understand that. So if we continue, he says, how long shall I be with you? Middle of page 107. How long shall I be with you means that the fulfillment of your desire is predicated upon your change to the right state of consciousness. It is just as though that which you desire is telling you that it will not be yours until you turn from being faithless and perverse to righteousness. All right, to righteousness, right? If we go back to page 20, right? What did we say righteousness was? Right? Righteousness, we said righteousness, where is it? Here it is. Righteousness is not the thing itself. It is the consciousness, the feeling of already being the person you want to be, already having the thing that you desire. Okay? So that's what he's saying right here on page 107. He said, as already stated, righteousness is the consciousness of already being what you want to be. By faith, okay, by faith, he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 27. Egypt means darkness. Belief in many gods causes. The king symbolizes the power of outside conditions or circumstances. He is your concept of yourself as already being what you want to be. Enduring as seeing him who is invisible means persisting in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. Thus, this quotation means that by persisting in the assumption that you already are the person you want to be, rise above all doubt, fear, and belief in the power of outside conditions or circumstances. And your world inevitably conforms to your assumption. The dictionary definitions of faith: the assent of the mind or understanding to the truth, unwavering adherence to principle, are so pertinent that they might well have been written with the law of assumption in the mind. Faith does not question, faith knows. So key. This chapter is very powerful and something that you really have to sit down and break down for real. You have to really sit down and break this down, because even that last chat, like, even if, like, sit down and think about this, guys. Look at how powerful things are, that if you don't understand them, just look at that last quotation right there in the middle of page 107, Hebrews, right? Hebrews chapter 11 verse 27, right? He said, by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Now, if you look at that quote, most of us would read that quote. If it was just a quote, we would not understand. Honestly, guys, I would have not understood anything. Because think about it. By faith, he forsook Egypt. What does that mean? Right? By faith, he forsook Egypt. I don't know what that means. Okay. I have no idea what that meant right there. If I'm reading this for the first time, I have no idea what that meant. Not fearing the wrath of the king. What king? I don't know what king he's talking about. For he endured as seeing him who is invisible. What does he mean by that? For seeing him who is invisible. But now, if you look, he breaks down the quote. That's how you know, guys, that what we read, there's so much more deeper things in what we read than what we actually know. Because if you think about it, if we were to just read that quote regularly, we would never really understand it fully what he meant. But now he breaks it down. Let's think about it. Egypt means darkness. Belief in many gods causes, right? So by faith, he forsook Egypt. So by faith, he forsook Egypt. Now, we might have to look up forsook, which I think I have an idea of what it means, right? Forsook means he abandoned, in shorter words, right? So by faith, he forsook Egypt, right? He let go of the darkness, not fearing the wrath of the king. He said the king symbolizes the power of outside conditions or circumstances. So, not fearing the wrath of the king. So you can't have, okay, you can't have, you, like I always say, you can't allow the outside circumstances affect that peace, right? He said the king symbolizes the power of outside conditions and circumstances. But if you look at the quote, what does it says? Not fearing the wrath of the king, which means that you can't allow the outside circumstances to scare you from achieving your dreams, from that scare you and put fear in your heart that these things are not going to happen for you. And then he says, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. He said he is your concept of yourself as already being what you want to be. Enduring as seeing him who is invisible means persisting in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. Does this quotation means that by persisting in the assumption that you already are the person you want to be, you rise above all doubt, fear, and belief in the power of outside conditions or circumstances, and your world inevitably conforms to your assumption. That's the key. If you notice the last few chapters, they've talked a lot about persisting in the feeling of, persisting in the naturalness of the fact that this is what you want to be. I hope you guys are really, really taking advantage of that. What is he saying in short words? You got to keep the faith through ups and through downs, especially through the downs, especially through the challenges. And the reason why he mentions it that way is because we all understand that the reason why most people fail is because they allow the outside circumstances to affect their peace. Think about how many people you know that have quit. Put a 1 in the chat box if you've had somebody quit your business. If you've had somebody leave your business, quit, lose faith in the business, lose faith in themselves. They didn't know what they didn't know. For you guys to quit now, it's going to be hard for you guys to quit. I'm telling you guys right now. Because now you know. Now you know. It's going to be hard for you guys to quit now. It's going to be hard for you guys to look at yourselves and make a decision to quit, because guess what? How are you going to quit if you know that you got to persist through these times? You won't, because now you understand things on a deeper level than most people did. The reason why those people quit the business, the reason why those people quit on the vision that they had, it wasn't because of the company. It wasn't because of you. It wasn't because of their lack of money. It wasn't because of any of those excuses that they give you all the time. It wasn't because they were busy. It wasn't because their family was going through something. It wasn't because they needed a break. It wasn't because of any of that. The reason why they quit is because they lost faith, they lost belief, and they allowed the fear to overcome them. They allowed the outside circumstances to have more power in their lives than their own self. They wasn't visualizing every day. They wasn't staying in the feeling of every day. So whenever you catch yourself about to quit, whenever you catch yourself in a position where you don't know if you want to keep going, just remember that I kept going through all those times. Ask yourself, yo, what would Nano do? What would Nano do? What would Nano do? Would Nano keep going or would he quit? What would Nano do? And every day, guys, never allow the circumstances of the outside world to affect your peace. Never. And watch the difference in the way things start to happen for you. Don't ever quit, fam. Don't ever quit. That's the key. The persistence is the key. Every day, every day, every day, rain or shine, up and down, good things, bad things, you got to keep it pushing. So that right there was chapter 24 and 25. Guys, if you guys got value from those two chapters, put a 3 in the chat box if you guys got value from today's chapters. I challenge you guys to reread those chapters. I know it takes us about an hour and some change to go through these chapters, but in reality, those chapters could be read in 10, 15 minutes. Read them over and over and over again. Understand it on a deeper level than what you usually do. Really take the time to understand this stuff. Understand that if you're going through something right now, this is a perfect time for you to apply this information. If you're going through something right now, this is the perfect time. This is the perfect time for you to apply this information. The perfect time. It's right now. All right, fam. So with that being said, that wraps up today's call. We will finish up the last two chapters on Monday. All right. And then we'll go back to, regular teachings and a few other stuff that I want to teach you guys. But we'll probably stay on it for a little bit. Probably next week, we'll stay on it a little bit just to give everybody a refreshment. And then we'll get into that other stuff and just talk about more of the application of it, how to get to it. But this book right here, guys, this book right here will make me 7 figures. Because it already gave me all the keys. It's giving me every single step by step of what I need to do to get to where I want to go to. Think about that. It's giving me step by step what I need to do to get to where I want to go to. Step by step, it's already giving it to me. Step by step, this book. We just now got to set up a plan and do it. And that's what I want to do next week. So after we're done reading the book, I want to put a plan in place as to how we're going to do it. Even though the how doesn't matter, I don't mean the how in terms of the plan on how we're going to accomplish the goal. I mean like a plan of action on how we're going to apply it. That's what I mean, a plan of action. How we're going to apply it, how many times a day we're going to imagine these things, how we're going to persist through the failures. That's how we're going to do it. And that's the key. All right. So family, thank you guys so much for hopping on today's call. We've already covered majority of this book, only 2 chapters left, and we're going to be covering that on Monday. But with that being said, guys, go out there and have a blessed rest of your weekend. Make sure you guys are rereading this book, rereading these chapters, installing them in your mind, practicing the law of assumption each and every single day, seeing yourself in the attainment of that goal, persisting through those tough times that you're currently going through or the tough times that are coming. And remember these things, because everything that happens in life is a test, and is a test to see if you truly deserve that next level. All right, fam. So quick prayer and we are done here. All right, quick prayer. Everybody bow your head. Father God, thank you so much for blessing us with this beautiful day that's filled with your abundance, is filled with your grace, and is filled with all the blessings and wisdom that you're continuously providing us with. We are so thankful to be here today because, man, what you talked about today when it comes to failure and when it comes to faith is so powerful. And we are really getting a really deeper understanding of the reason why we fail and the reason why certain things don't happen the way that they do. And we understand now that the tests that you put in our lives are not there to, bring us down or take anything away from us. If anything, those tests are in our lives to help us become better, to expose our weaknesses, to expose certain areas in our lives that might not be where they are supposed to be. And we must continue to strengthen those areas of weakness. We must continue to keep the faith, even though certain things might not go the way that we want them to. Through tragedy, through certain circumstances, we got to keep the faith, because like we covered on the call, a crumb of doubt could destroy a mountain of faith. And I want you to eliminate all doubt that any of us may have in our mind. Eliminate it from our mind, God. Every single day, just eliminate it, because we can't have no doubt. We can't have no fear. We need to have 100% faith that what it is that we cannot yet see in the physical will become a reality, God. And we are just so thankful for the information that you're continuing to provide us with, because there's nothing more powerful than this information, but we know that it's coming directly from you, God. So we are just so thankful for all the lessons, for everything that you're teaching us each and every single day. We know that this is going to be a life-changing year for all of us, God. So thank you so much for positioning us. Thank you so much for the wisdom. Thank you for being our leader. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for being there for us through ups, through downs. Thank you for accepting us as who we are. And thank you, most importantly, for loving us and always being there for us. So we love you so much and we appreciate you so much. Let's go out there and have a great weekend. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. 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 All right, guys. So with that being said, that wraps up today's call. I am so thankful to be here with each and every single one of y'all. And I hope that all of you guys continue to have a blessed rest of your day. I love you guys so much. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your weekend. Make sure you guys like this video so we can get the likes to above 200. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Share my videos with your friends, your family. Let them know that Mornings with Nano is litty and we are excited for everything. All right, fam. So peace and love for everybody. And I'll see you guys back here on Monday for another episode of Mornings with Nano. Let's run it. Appreciate y'all. And let's have a great week. Amazing.